call, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the pimp slap POD, Mike M.
Pimpin' ain't easy, but it's fun like money. Got bookies on the run, now it's time to get money. Not your typical way to ball. It's last call like some convicts waiting on the next draw. You can feel the tension. Did I mention? Fools better pay attention, cause we getting paid like a pension. T's on the ones and twos, we not the ones that lose. Mike, money's killers, Mike even make the even news.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping! Buzz Sports Radio, you know we be pumping!
What up? What up? What up? Last call, Pump Sports Radio. What up, everybody out there? Welcome to the show. TGIFF. We've made it this week. Dragging out these early days of January. Really dragging along here. It gets dark early. It's dark late. It's dark early in the morning. Oh, man, it's dark all the time. But you know what's not dark? Our fun and excitement when it comes to getting here on these sports games. And what another night we had last night. Shout out everybody in the chat, rocking and rolling. Some great looks out there, top to bottom from the chat last night. It was a lot of fun, big card, another profitable day. And what do you say? That's what we're here to do. We're trying to get that cash. Everybody knows the deal here. 6 p.m., Pump Sports Radio. Let's go on YouTube going here, trying to crack into this market. We need everybody's help, guys. First thing I need you to do, come in there, smash that thumbs up button for us. Come on now, Richard. I see you out there, new member out there, our guy Richard. Justin McGalvey with the stacks play of the day. He's on the PFW, over 78.5 team total for our guy Justin. Trying to claw his way back. I know he'll get there. That sounds like a good look from our guy Justin. Thanks for sharing. Ian Shaver says, what's on Wisconsin? Pre-flop -3.5. Hit him live at +1 cash. Nice job, my guy. Oh, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, I think is what he was saying out there. Nice job, my guy. Nice. They were down in that first half, and they came back, and they got the outright W there, so nice work out of our guy. Ian Shaver says, let's go. Darius Moore's in the house. Guys are ready to rock and roll. Darius says, Pelicans money line here. Love you guys being early risers to the show. We know it's up here. It's Friday. Everyone's getting out of work. They're getting ready for the weekend. They're getting home trying to figure out what it is they're going to do for dinner, what they're going to do for cocktails, maybe what sports they're going to watch tonight. But before we do that, we got to go through tonight's card, give you guys them angles, them looks, everything you're going to need to go out there and cook them books. And that's what Last Call is all about. So I'm excited to get into it with you guys here for Friday. Director 97 says, early bet on the Dayton +2, now -1, leaning on Boise State +6. Well, that'll be a lot of fun to talk about that one. Certainly can't wait to get there and cover the college basketball card. So what do we have on deck? Well, we have a small hockey card tonight. We have a 2-game hockey slate and a real strange schedule because they're both popping off at 8 p.m. Eastern. So have a look on both those games, 2 plays that I've already made. I was leaning to a third one. I just couldn't pull the trigger on it. I just couldn't get there ultimately. It's been slumping. We've talked about it before. And kind of still feel like it should bounce back, but I don't want to play a should. I want to play something I feel more conviction about behind that. So Joseph Thompson, what up, my guy? Says, what up, Mike M? Let's get that cash. 1-1 last night at Michigan. You know, strange game, Joseph Thompson, because Michigan was really up like 3/4 of that game. They were cruise control. And then, you know, you see the switch literally flip. Maryland comes out there, and I expected Michigan to continue to run the ball, get the job done, or run the offense and get the job done, driving points. But it's like when Maryland flipped the switch, Michigan got completely shut down, and then Maryland just did what they did to go out there and pull ahead and win that game. So, yeah, I mean, look, I was on the over. That one stunk, but I'm glad I didn't double dip it. That's for sure. I was really close to double dipping. So, best model play tonight from our guy, Joseph Thompson. He likes that Manhattan Rider over 142.5. All right, my guy, Joseph, thank you for sharing. Keats out there says, let's go, Mike, and everybody cash these plays out there. You know it. Darius Moore's on Duquesne, so it looks like we have a little head-to-head action there between our guy, Darius Moore, and Director 97. That'll be fun to monitor from the sides. I'll root both of you guys on there. Just want to hope it's a good game. I was close to pulling the trigger on Duquesne myself, but a little about face. It's a tricky college basketball card. It's that MAAC Friday action. We do have some West Coast plays out there, but Just a tricky little spot to navigate. Any one of these teams can kind of upset the other at any given time. The margin, if you will, the window or the difference between these teams is so tight that it's just an interesting spot out there tonight with this Friday card. So we'll see what happens. Nasty Nate, though, like to see you out there, my guy. Ian Shaver says, I have to give love to our guy, Billy Briz, on that Wisconsin move. Was on my spreadsheet, and he gave me the confidence to proceed. Excellent job. Nice job, Ian. You know, we got 2 ears for a reason, and listening is the most important thing you can do when it comes to sports betting, not kind of making up your mind before you have the opportunity to evaluate all things to be considered. And that's what we're doing here tonight. Dan Kelly says, Terrence Mann over 9.5 points. Nice little plus 140 spot there on FanDuel from our guy, Dan Kelly. And then Big Scott 510 says, what's good, Mikey? Let's get that cash tonight. Plays for tonight. He likes the Flyers money line, the Bulls -3, and Miami -3 as well. Full NBA slate tonight. I think just about everybody's in action. So lots of things to look at and break down inside of there. I believe we've got 2 hockey plays, 3 college basketball plays, 6 or 7 NBA plays out there. And then we're bringing on our guy, MMA Jeff. He came on the show last MMA contest out there, the last one of 2023. He gave us a 3-1. He was plus 2.3 units, only lost his parlay. And he's come back with some bangers for us to get ready for the opening UFC event of the season. And you know, Pub Sports Radio is hosting that pub contest out there on the website. Free to enter, $100 to the victor. Our guy MMA Jeff did win that thing 2 of the last 3 contests of the season. Got himself up and running, and now coming on the show, making those appearances to give us his looks to go out there for that big UFC banging card on Saturday. So we'll leave you guys with some plays for the weekend before the show is all finished tonight. Fletcher Berry, what's up, my guy? It's good to see you. Says, what's happening? Let's get this Friday cash. Fernando Mendoza's out there. What up, Fernando? And then there's Marcus McCarthy. You're doing the $50 pool. I haven't entered it yet. I was thinking about doing it here. I got to look at it more. I got to look at the confidence factor behind it. I haven't done a lot of the playoff type of pools. Selfishly, it's because my team's been in the playoffs and I've been just kind of riding them along the way. So I'll have to look at that though. I was definitely thinking about entering that this year, and I know we've got till midnight tonight to get it done. So I got to make some decisions here in the short term. I am ready for Pubapalooza 3. That'll be a lot of fun. And then Fernando Mendoza says 6 of 6 yesterday. Looking for another great night without a loss. Our guy, Fernando Mendoza. Congrats, my guy. That's a great night for you. And I thought we were going to have a lot of the same. You know, the hockey stuff kind of all poured in at the same time. The NBA, so. And then we hit our college basketball look. So it was all in all a good night, though. You know how we do it here. We'll recap the plays. We'll jump into the card. I wanted to let everybody get some time to get and funnel into the show tonight. Did not send the early look for last call out today. I had a little couple of things going on early, so that was on me. But everybody should know that we're still rocking on this thing Monday to Friday, going out there, giving them plays and everything you guys need to know to get ready to go smash them bookies. Let's talk about last night here. Let's break it down. 100% transparent with this show and every show you see on Pub Sports Radio. It's all about sharing the good, the bad, but keeping it 100 with everybody and what these records look like out there. And there's our guy, Fernando Mendoza, gifting a Pub Sports membership to bless our action and kicking it off so early. It's blessing the show tonight, my guy, Fernando Mendoza. Thank you, brother. It brings a ton to see those contributions helping grow the community one member at a time. That's all it takes, and we really appreciate those opportunities. Hopefully, whoever gets it in there, thank our guy, Fernando Mendoza, and make sure you renew that as well. If you got the freebie, we want you to continue to come back, and we're putting more and more members-only content together. You guys already know what it is with those Thursday shows. Jose and Jimmy the Bag rocking and rolling with the NFL looks out there, the circuit card, the contest entries, and the ability for our members to vote on that circuit card. It's truly an our situation and not a their situation. We get to vote. We get to have the discussions. And then the highest majority of members ends up being the final selections for the card. A lot of fun watching those boys work this year. The NFL in general, for everybody across the board, has been sharp as hell. And, I know, shout out our guy, Troy Torrance, 50+ units this year. Jimmy's been doing the show with him on Tuesdays. We've got the NFL Pub Zones on Sunday mornings. They've been just kicking butt and taking names. Everyone's been working hard to profit in the NFL this season. And shout out our guy, Ian Shaver, my homie out there, gifted a membership as well. You guys are great, man. Without you guys, we truly have nothing. And it means a ton, again, to see you guys making those contributions, helping us support the cause and grow the channel. That's awesome, man. Ian, thank you very much. Love seeing you in the chat. Love seeing your content. And you're one of them diehard guys, man. A lot of you guys in the chat, up and down, come in here every single day. You get on all the pub sports streams out there, show the support. I know you guys are like button smashers, and if you haven't done so already, hit that like button out there. You guys know the deal with Last Call. We ask you to do 3 things. Smash that like button for us. Help us get this message out there. We're here doing a pen plays you hear, not just for myself, our panel, and you guys in the chat. Chat sharper and sharper every 6. And then last but not least, share your plays in the chat. Everybody wants to see it. We want to shout them out. We want to recognize you guys when you're doing great things out there. You're giving us them looks. Like Dana Delp says, Hoosiers -4, Iowa -4, and the suspense there, the old bookmark out there for Dana Delp. Looks like we got one more coming from Dana Delp. So that's like the teaser. That's the early teaser for us, right? So let's go. Chosen one, good to see you. Lexicon. Joey Kryptonite says, yo, yo, yo. Daryl Benton, is Ian and Babano the same person? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. Dana Delp says, and it's that Philly -1 spot for Dana Delp. Appreciate that, Dana. Love to see it. Love to see those plays out there in the chat. You guys giving those donos, man, those memberships are fantastic work. We really, truly appreciate it. And again, if you guys get the beneficiary of a gifted membership on this show or any show, all we ask you to do is renew it. It's $4.99 a month. Helps us continue to grow the community. Shout out our guy, Razor Sharp Picks. I probably did that poorly. I should do it again. Shout out to Razor Sharp Picks out there. What's up, my guy? Happy Friday to you. Great to see you in the chat. Darius Moore says Sixers over. Nunya rocking. Joey Kryptonite says under 4.5 in the Wild Flyers. Plus 300 spot there. A little 3-1 return on the cash. Well, let's go through this here. Let's get it. Oh, there we go. There's our guy. Oh, my goodness. Razor Sharp. Toronto +3 is the $400 gambler's first glance. Let's highlight it. Let's get that on the screen from our guy, Razor Sharp. Razor, I love the pick. As a matter of fact, I had a revision of what I was typing up to send over to our guy, T. Shout out T on the 1s and 2s back there, holding it down for us, getting it tight and right. And as I was putting it together, I had some notes in there for Toronto, but my update has Toronto +3. I love that spot. I think I'll share a stat later on that'll kind of coincide or co-endorse that play. Not that you need my endorsement, but I love the spot. And it's contrary. It's contrary to what everybody thinks. If you look at those numbers, everybody's saying Jazz. The money's coming in on the Jazz. It's not moving. Truly a gambler's first glance type of situation. But as we break that one down, I'll make sure to cover that piece of it and talk a little bit about why I think that's a terrific play. So thank you for sharing, my guy. What's up, Jacqueline? Good to see you. Mel, Flyers Wild under 6. Mel, love to see that play. I don't disagree with that. I think it's a low-scoring game today as well. Kelly V, what up, Kelly V? Says Wemby Spurs rebounds over. Wemby over blocks 2 -136 out there. Looks like a little same game parlay type of action. Nice work. Nice work. Nice work. Let's go. Let's make it happen here, guys. I told you, Perky Bump says, anybody on PFW looks nice to me. I think we had that at the top of the show. Let me just double check there. Yeah, we got our guy, Justin. Justin's rocking the PFW over 78.5 on his team total look out there. Perky Bump's our guy. Hoping you're having a good Friday, my guy. And shout out to everybody that's in here rocking with us. So let's recap. Let's start this show off. You guys know we do it every single day. We do it the same way. Want to give you guys a good format that you can count on and be consistent with the execution here. 6-3 day. That's the high level, right? It was a pretty solid day all in all. Again, growing units here. This week has been a really solid week as well. I always hate to kind of talk about, I'm big on I don't want to jinx it type of thing, but look, we're up about almost 14 units on the week this week. So it's been a really solid and consistent effort and performance here. We expected that. We started to see these numbers start to mature. We talked about this last week. We're seeing conference play. We're seeing, more second, third time looks on teams playing one another. We're starting to have better data to make informed decisions. And that's what it's all about as we kind of shepherd our way through this process to find those cash opportunities. So, here we go. And we're seeing the results this week, particularly starting to blow it up. Again, 6-3. It was a really solid day in the NHL. The only really low spot, I think, well, there were two, right? The first was that Toronto spot. Toronto, New York Islanders. I don't know what's going on with those Islanders right now. They're just kind of that back and forth situation, that back and forth team. We expected them to beat Vancouver. They lose to Vancouver. And then Vancouver goes on to beat Pittsburgh. So Vancouver definitely is playing hotter than a pistol right now. Then you expect Toronto to come in, who's also been playing hot. And then they get doused by the Islanders right off the hop. So did go to overtime. Was an aggressive game. Was an exciting game. Just a disappointing outcome. Granted, it was low juice for us, minus 125 spot. But hey, look. We got them San Jose Sharks, right? 13 losses in a row. Nobody was playing the Sharks except us here at Last Call. We played the shit out of them Sharks, plus 140 spot. And a goal before the show even ended to get out there and take that lead early. We had Seattle -1, a nice plus 125 spot with Seattle -1. They put the smackdown on them Capitals. 4-1, I believe, was the finish. A little sweaty in the middle of the second, but Seattle had scored first, so it wasn't a comeback. It was just a matter of stretching that lead out to cover the -1. We did get that Vancouver spot at plus 110. So we banged on 3 plus money plays in the NHL last night off the hop. We lost our Toronto spot. We did win Calgary. Calgary whooped up on them boys fast and furious in that game for Calgary. So that was a nice little no sweater. And then Boston, what a letdown. Overtime spot. I know what happened. We talked about it on one of the live streams there last night. And we had the old kiss of death on it. So that's okay. It happens. But we'll move forward. Look, college basketball, that Utah-UCLA game, both Connor Mack and I both like that spot, and that one comfortably cashed for us. No sweater there. I think the final was 134, so it did kind of push up a little at the end, but we still got there and got that cash. We did not get the Hartenstein and 10-plus rebounds in the under 234. That Dallas game smoked that total. Disappointing. But then the Suns came through to close our night out with a nice little late night spot there for us. The Suns. We also hit some of those later late night spots that we talked about, including that Hawaii under, but nothing official from the show purposes. Just if you were there and listening, you heard those opportunities. So there we go. We're sitting just over 40, almost 40 and a half units now on the show. We're having a lot of fun doing it. We're finding great looks. We're having some creative opportunities from you guys in the chat. And that's what it's all about. We want to bet on these games. We want to make cash, but we want to have fun doing it too. And it always comes down to the fun element of it amongst everything else. So Caddy Daddy says, what's going, Mike? Everybody going out after props tonight. Likes Laurie Markkinen, 10-plus rebounds, plus 135. Boosh at 10-plus rebounds and 3-plus assists. A little parlay action there. It looks like plus 130. Zubac double-double. Harden double-double, plus 120s. And back-to-back, the well with Miles Turner, double-double. I was excited to look at that one as well. I was thinking about coming back in there and playing that opportunity. So, look, the number 2 guy's got to become the number 1 guy when your number 1 guy gets out of the game, and that's just the way it goes. You got to like what's happening there. And then Jared TG says, best night I've ever had in the NHL last night. Ready to attack again tomorrow. So many sports tomorrow. Don't know how I plan on keeping up. And then Daryl Benton says, Boston let me down in the first period, but overall hockey was good. It was a good hockey day. It was fun to see that, We had a big slate, and we came through with some big results. So let's jump in. Let's get into this thing here. It's time to launch the boat off the docks here and find our way to the windows. And that's what we're going to do tonight. So we'll jump into this thing. We'll get moving. Then we're going to go, like I said, we'll go through the NHL. We'll hit the college basketball slate, and then we'll bang down the NBA and close out with some MMA. So here we go on our way, and it's a kind of a shame it's only a 2-slater after so much fun last night and all those games kind of piling in together. But, yeah, I'm doing it. You got to bet your ass I'm doing it here. Philadelphia, minus 105. Big thing with this game here. First of all, we got Carter Hart coming back in goal for the Philadelphia Flyers at 10-8-3 with a 2.69 and a 91.1% save percentage. He's trying to find his form right now. It's his third start in 4 games for the Flyers. They're 1-2-2 in his last 6, and he's been getting brutalized. 4+ goals in 3 of those games with an 89% save percentage. But here's the recipe for a bounce back spot. You got a Minnesota team that's banged up, dinged up, not scoring goals. In fact, they've only got 12 goals in their last 7 games. They're 1-6 in those 7 games. And you got Marc-Andre Fleury at a 3.12 goals against average and an 89.2% save percentage. You know, we saw this Minnesota team just go on the road and play Dallas, right? They had that back-to-back against Dallas. They got ripped against Dallas, right? That first game, I think the score was 4-1, and the second game was 7-2 final. The thing about that 7-2 is that was the rookie start because of the issues that they're having with goaltending for Minnesota. That's always a red flag because that kind of shows you how deep are they and what's their plan. You don't have a plan when you leave a rookie in there to get his ass shelled. He lets up 7 goals on 34 shots, 79.4%. If they had anybody else to put in, they would have. And it's a dangerous position because if Marc-Andre Fleury starts getting peppered tonight with goals, it's going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly fast. The goals come in bunches, as we saw in that third period with that Dallas-Minnesota game last time around. And I will say, though, despite the fact that they're 1-6, they played the Dallas Stars and the Winnipeg Jets twice in that 5-game stretch. So they did have some issues with Zuccarello, Foligno, and Hartman. They should all be back here. But some of the deciding factors for me that steered me in the Philadelphia direction, not just a homer pick out here. If you want to talk the homer side of it, the Eagles being in the playoffs, the Sixers playing tonight at home, here you go on the road. This Philadelphia team doesn't want to be the weak link. But that being said, this is the hard-hitting opponent opportunity. This is a little model in the system that tracks, the hitting factor, and it kind of crescendos into this opportunity. When the opponent that you're playing has had more hits than your last two opponents combined, and you're on the road as a favorite, it's a 38-9 spot in those spots. So it's going to be an aggressive, hard-hitting, physical game, and the Flyers should be the ones that come out on top of this thing. Their last 2 opponents did not come to that margin from a hitting perspective. Average favorites that are on the road, away favorites that have a line less than -175, going against a streaky spot, in this case, the losing streak for Minnesota, 165 and 172. And then last but not least, away, first game, back-to-back, no rest, off a win, 78 and 32. Win margin in every one of those angles is over 1 goal a game. And it's a low juice spot for the Philadelphia Flyers. I just want to double check it and see what we have from the juice right now. But it makes a ton of sense. Yeah, we're still sitting at -105s. The line opened up at +105. In this case, they did go from that dog to favorite, sort of favorite in that spot. But I think it's a good opportunity for him. So Dana Dubb says Philly trifecta play. Nathan Cerna says, I'm on the Stars tonight, money line. Sharon Bullion, what up, Sharon? Good to see you. Ricky Bobby says, shout out to my guy Billy. Helped me cash that Cleveland State first half Milwaukee full game. Nice job. Our guy Billy Bears. Where the hell was I? Where was I that I missed that play out there? I had to sweat it out myself to figure out that first half spot. Nathan Cerna, good to see you. My guy says the Mag. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Quinnipiac, Ryder, and Canisius all spread plays for our guy Nathan Cerna. Good to see it. Tough game. Fleury going for the record. Fleury's been going for the record. So I'm not too excited. I'm not too enthralled. That doesn't really faze me one bit. In fact, the thing about hockey players, and if you haven't spent the time in the room, you don't know, but they carry a simple adage. Let's fuck this team's day up. And the best way to do that is to keep that win away from Marc-Andre Fleury's spot. In fact, they don't want to give it to him. They're going to probably try even harder not to give it to him. So I'm going that route with this game here. Philadelphia -105 to start it out. Let's call it the old fuck their day up philosophy here. Marc-Andre Fleury should have a tough night tonight. Moving on over, keeping the skates laced up, the second game on the card. Another 8 p.m. start. This is that Nashville-Dallas team here. We've got Saros coming back in goal for Nashville. Tough season for Saros, 16-15-1 with a 308 goals against average, 89.9% save percentage. On the other side of things, we've got Wedgewall coming back in there at 12-4-3. And look, he needed a little time off. That was definitely wearing on him, the Ottinger factor. The good news from Pete DeBoer out of the Dallas headlines here, Ottinger should be coming back. They thought he might come back tonight against Nashville, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And if you think about strategically with their schedule, they've got a back-to-back going into Chicago on Saturday, so it really probably shouldn't be a spot where you try to rush your guy in there. Chicago's beat up and banged up on their own right. Took another tough loss last night to Edmonton. They were in that game right to the end, and then Edmonton just pulled ahead and got the job done. But I don't think they rush him back. The other challenge that Dallas has right now is Miro Heiskanen out. He's been out the last 3 games with a lower body injury, and he's still in a week-to-week status. So kind of from what's kind of the trials and tribulations of Dallas, that's kind of laid it out there and put it on the table. But They do have the second best offense in the league. They're averaging 3.68 goals a game. 7 guys that are in double-digit scorer spots right now. 6 players with over 40 points. They're moving the puck around the ice well. They're finding the back of the net comfortably. But this one should be a challenge. Nashville, it's not too early to start talking about it. It's relevant here. Nashville is the first wild card team out there for the playoffs in the West. So they should be battling. And if you look back at it here, what you got with what's going on with Dallas to start this 2024 calendar year off, 0-2-1 to start. But I think those 2 wins against Minnesota, a 4-0 shutout and a 7-2 victory, are going to kind of push them in the right direction. Last but not least, it is a revenge spot. They just took a loss to Nashville in Dallas 2 weeks back. So they should be motivated to go out there and get it done. If you look at this line sitting at -167, -170, that kind of tells you all you need to know here. If that is this revenge spot, you do have your backup goaltender, if you will, in the net for the Dallas Stars. This line is not showing any scarcity or softness when it comes to their concern about Dallas. They're beefed up on them. And where I went with this one is I went to the -1. I'm going to take the -115. That's available over on Caesars. I think Dallas gets the job done here. I almost was looking at the goal line or the puck line. Give me the -1.5 almost at a nice +145 spot out there. But yeah, I don't want to be greedy. I'm going to take the -1, -115. I'm going to take that opportunity to close the hockey game out here with 2 plays. We're going to go Flyers, and we're going to go Dallas -1. Let me transition over. Bit the side of my tongue. Every time I talk, it hurts. Let's go. Let's talk about some college hoops. We're back up on the college hardwood and a couple of games coming on here. We've got this Indiana game about to start out there with the Indiana Hoosiers, but you guys know I'm not going to jump out there and talk about games that are at that 6:30 window. We're going to wait till that 7 o'clock slot to get things rolling. Perky Bump says, best bet, IPFW money line. Let's go get that money, my guy. Perky, good to see you. Real Deal Prime says, copy that. Let's go, Real Deal. It's good to see you out there. Big win for our guys Sabres last night there. Real Deal Prime rocking. Listen, so the first game I'm starting with here, I looked at this Rice game, Rice in South Florida. And the AAC conference has a huge home court advantage opportunity that I think is going to drive the difference in this game. I'll tell you about the numbers in a second, but the line opens up at 6.5. Now we've got 5s and 4.5. This is a situation where I think the public's in the right move, and the Vegas is probably in this kind of weird head fake situation because 67% of the bets, 54% of the cash sitting on South Florida, and the line's moving the other direction. Normally that's a red flag for me, but in this case, I'm going to tell you why I think it's a little different. The total opens up at 144.5. Now we're seeing 146.5, 81% of the bets and 52% of the cash, suggesting we're going to see some scores here. And I don't disagree. If you look at South Florida, though, they've been whooping up on just about everybody they played. They played Loyola Chicago. They win 77-64 back on December 16th. Then they traveled. They got an Albany game. They beat up on Albany 89-73. Allstate, what is that? Alcorn State, 73-70. Temple, 76-68. They play a tough UAB team at a +4. What do? They cover that game. They push it. It's a push. Depending on where you got that line, it's a push. So they lost 75-71, but they're meeting expectation. And if you look at this team in Rice, the thing that Rice has got going against them in this case, they whoop the shit out of some teams that are in mid-major spots right now. That skews the metrics all up when you start seeing their average margin of victory and the points for. Well, guess what? There's no participation awards going out there when you hammer on a Prairie View team 82-56. You beat them up by 30 points on a 9.5. All that does is skew this number and give us a good opportunity to buy low on a South Florida team that's been running and gunning, making moves throughout the conference. They're catching losses like crazy now with Rice. They just lost to UTSA. They just lost to Tulane. And again, that tells you all you need to know. They're beating up on teams so bad that they go out there and play one of the absolute best free throw team in the country, number 1 in free throw attempts, free throws made, free throws, percentage and success rates. They get 8.5 points against a team like that. They lose by almost 30. That tells you, again, everything you need to know about what happens when you overproduce against bag of shit offenses out there. They've allowed 80 or more points in each of their last 3 games. Going to be a huge issue that they're going to have to try to fix on the road. And I don't think that's going to be a productive spot for them here. Bulls getting better on defense. They're 7-2 straight up at home, 7-5-1 against the spread. And the last but not least, the number I told you guys I would share with you here, AAC home conference teams 11-5 against the spread. That trend was in play last night for Tulane. I gave out Tulane on Jimmy the Bag show at +8. Tulane comes out there. They almost won the game outright. I think it was a 1 or 2 point final finish out there. They closed the game very nicely at home. And I think it's kind of the flip side here with this being the favorite, but I think they do hammer down on them boys and get the job done really nicely. So first college basketball play of the card for me, USF. I'm riding that home court advantage in the AAC and counting on USF to hammer down on Rice tonight. Play number 2 that we're going to talk about in the college association, if you will. Here we're gonna take a little trip out west here. Interesting schedule. We've got the really the mid-major program festival here on Fridays, and we got to try to dig some gold out of them hills. And I think we found some here as we look at this game between Boise State and Nevada. The line opens at 6.5. Now we're starting to see 6s. There are still some 6.5s out there, but they're getting a little pricey. 59% of the bets, 83% of the cash on Boise State. This is starting the direction that we want to see, where we're starting to see these 6s. The line opens at 140.5. The back number. This is a little bit of a pause for concern because you've got 88% of the bets and 87% of the cash sitting there on this under, and it's really not moving. It's not showing any signs of concern. You guys know I love to tie the overs to the dogs, and I think this is a great opportunity for Boise State. Nevada has won each of its last 21 night games at Lawler Event Center, so they're a good home team. No doubt the advantage they have at 15-1 shows that they can get the job done, but recent opponents is the big factor for me as I look at this. I think it's a situation where Boise State ain't no bitches. They're not just going to roll over. They want to go out there and clobber. In fact, go look what they did on January 9th. Colorado State team. Remember that Colorado State team that went out there and took down the number 4 Marquette team? Big opportunity for them. They were in Boise's barn, and they whooped up on them. They were getting 1.5 points. That tells me that this team in Colorado State that became number 19 in the nation is matched up very comparably in terms of overall production and expectation with a team like Boise State. 65-58, they go out there and handle Colorado State. Meanwhile, you got Nevada playing teams like Air Force, Fresno, Georgia Tech. I mean, okay, yeah, you beat up on Georgia Tech real good, but as our next guest will tell you, there ain't a school worth of shit in Georgia. So plenty of opportunity to get it done. I think Boise State, a good opportunity for the play. They've won 5 of their last 6 games. They're playing well on defense. The thing about this is they're going to have to make a couple of threes because Wolfpack certainly don't allow a ton of points. 60 points in 3 state games or less, only allowing 63.3 on the season. It is going to be a defensive battle. I also like the under. I think it's going to be a lower scoring affair. Defensive strength from both sides to get this job done. But despite the fact that the line's not showing the concern to the under, the over is kind of what it's suggesting is going to happen in this case. Gives me that lean to the Boise State +6.5 side of things. So play number 2 for me, college basketball. I'm going Boise State. And then I'm closing the college basketball card out with a little Youngstown State action here. It's been a play that I've been kind of charting and tracking throughout the college basketball season. And Youngstown State's been playing some pretty aggressive basketball right now. This is another tricky spot because we've got 67% of the bets and 78% of the cash on Youngstown State. So this is a buyer beware opportunity because we're not seeing any movement in that line. It is kind of frozen at that -1.5. You look at the money line, which we like to do in these tight compression factors with a 1.5 points spread. We open at -120, 76% of the bets and 89% of the cash on Youngstown State. The line's just gone down. It's -112s out there now. So kind of a concern in terms of what you want to see from that side of the house. Then as far as the total opens at 166.5. 87% of the bets, 89% of the cash on the over. It's dropping. It's dropped 1.5 points. So definitely some pause and some area for concern there. All this cash coming in on the over. I was leaning to the under. In fact, right up until the show started, 5 minutes before the show, I had T change it around for us to give me this Youngstown money line spot. And I just had to go with this play because I think at the end of the day, it's a Horizon Conference. I talked to you a few minutes ago about the home court advantage that the AAC has. Well, guess who else has it out there? The Horizon Conference. In the Horizon Conference, going back to last year, the home favorite off a win in conference play, 11-3 straight up in those spots. The average spread they're laying is almost 7 points, and they're winning those things by margin. But I'm just going to go to the money line. I think it's a low-priced value opportunity. When you look at Wright State, their offense, okay, it's pretty solid, but their defense is where they struggle. Their defense is terrible. I think Youngstown State likes to throw the three. They're 9-1 straight up at home. They've won 5 of the last 7 meetings against Wright State as well, so they're comfortable playing this opponent. They know how to get the job done, and it's their court, which, again, has shown that home court advantage in this Horizon Conference League. Great opportunity to jump on Youngstown State. And, again, a low number for this Youngstown State squad. So that's going to do it for me when it comes to the hardwood in college tonight. 3 plays in college, 2 plays in the NHL. Let's see what we have out there. Justin says Boise +6 already on his card. Love to see that, Justin. Glad to see us in alignment. AOD, what up, my guy? Justin says, don't start badmouthing Georgia because I'll start roasting Eagles and Philly. Hey, I wasn't just picking on 2 teams. I was calling the entire state, Justin, in all sports, not just 2 teams. I was blanket covering everything when it comes to the state of Georgia. So there's not enough Philly teams out there to badmouth the way I would badmouth to them Georgia schools. But anyhow, no, it's all good. It's all good. Director 97 says, Pimp Slap, I'll be tailing you on Boise State. Let's get her done. Nanya, greasy little 6 p.m. Central parlay has South Florida money line, North Florida money line, and IPFW money line. Nanya, I like that a lot. I like all those teams. I think North Florida is a good spot to get it done. And, of course, we've seen up and down the chat our guy Justin and the crew all liking that PFW spot. So not a bad look there, our guy. Thanks for sharing. And Nathan Cerna says he sees the Bulls win 78-69. Kelly V says Dayton 9-1 versus Duquesne, money line for Dayton, wrong team favorite. I could see that happening too. I could see that being the play out there. It's a tight little number for sure. And you do have a Duquesne team that has started the conference play with an 0-2 record. So not the strongest start for them boys. Mike Wilkerson likes the Joker over PRA. Daryl Benton says Flyers team total over. And I can't be mad at that either. I like it. I like Justin, Justin, that's okay. It's not your fault. Can't help where you're born, my guy. But shout out to you, dude. Always enjoy seeing the stats, POD, and what you got cooking out there. So Joseph Thompson says, anyone took anything in the Minnesota-Indiana game? I'm on the over. I went to Indiana in that game. I was thinking about that spot there and trying to get that play in, but Philly, hands down, is the dirtiest city in PA, but it's still cleaner than New York City, which is the most critical thing. They call it a clean New York City. So anyhow, let's go. Let's talk about the NBA. We're going to bring on our guy here in just a couple of moments for the MMA UFC opening bout this calendar year. Should be a lot of fun to talk about as well. But let's jump into the NBA. We've got a pretty full slate. You'll see on the right-hand side, a pretty full slate myself. I'm opening this thing up. It's just a lean to me on this side with Philadelphia. 52% of the bets, 59% of the cash on the Sixers. This line's been ping-pong, and every 45 minutes, it's either -1 or +1. Tricky spot for me. Tricky spot. Doesn't mean the Sixers aren't going to make my card. It's a 7:30 start, so I have a little time to consider it. But I wanted to see kind of that very last line movement in that spot there because that's the part that concerns me the most is why does this thing just keep flipping back? I know there's no Embiid. I get it. But that's already in the number when you see it sitting there at 1. If Embiid was playing, it'd probably be sitting around 8. And that's probably a more fair number when you look at this Kings team and the road presence that they've had. The line opens up at 239.5. Now it's 241.5 and 242.5. 48% of the bets on the Kings, but on the over, but 61% of the bets on the under, 61% of the cash. So a lot of money coming in on the under. Pretty good, steady flow of cash coming in on the Sixers themselves. And I thought this was a really tricky game here. At the end of the day, if you break it down and you start kind of looking, you got both teams at comparable records, 23-14 on the Kings, 23-13 on the Sixers. I like the edge to the Sixers specifically because if you kind of look back, they've been reeling right now. They're struggling. They lost to the Bulls in the first of a back-to-back. They came back and beat them, and they've done nothing but lose since then. So a team that was red hot has kind of found that middle. The pendulum has swung back the other way. 128-92 against the Knicks loss. 120-109 loss at home to the Jazz. Then they go on the road and they lose 139-132 to Atlanta, who's terrible. So they're picking up L's against bad teams, and it's just a matter before they get striking here. The only challenge I have with the Sixers is they're on they've got a back-to-back spot coming up here. So that's kind of why I think they're resting Embiid and getting ready for those opportunities here. On the other side of things with the Kings, 2 great road games. They whooped up on Detroit, 131-110. They were down 19 points in the first half of that game, came back and still covered the first half. Then they play the Hornets. They're up, win that game 123-98, a suspect Hornets team. Best for me at this game, the closest I could get to this thing was saying I lean to the Sixers. It's a home team. They're one of the best home teams in NBA. And it's a lot of things happening for Philadelphia this weekend. That city's going to be electric. Them boys are going to be firing. And I think it's going to be a big opportunity. But ultimately, I see Smoking Tree in the chat. I haven't seen you in here, my guy. Good to see you hanging out with us tonight. Justin McKelvey says, that swig bets. I now live in Pittsburgh. Justin, it's even worse, my guy. It's even worse. How'd you end up in Pittsburgh? You should have just moved to Philly and called it a day. That's the best city in Pennsylvania. But anyhow, I digress. Justin's going to get mad at me. No, I don't mean to pick on you, Justin. It is what it is, right? Blue numbers went Kings, just so hot right now. They are hot. There's no doubt about it. They're a hot program right now. Smoking Tree says he likes the Kings, and we'll see how it's going to go here. McKelvey, ever been to Reading? Just says swig bets. I've been to Reading once, actually a couple of times, but a couple of times I've been to Reading, but you know, and it was on purpose. It wasn't an accident. So anyhow, I digress. Let's keep rolling here. Let's talk about this Houston game. Now, forewarning, get your barf bags out, because my NBA card is very much a fucking work of art. It's really disgusting today. And if you like dogs and you like greasy, ugly spots, you're going to really like what I got coming up here for this card. So I went to Pistons. Yeah, I did it. I understand, but bad spot for the Rockets. This line opens at 7.5. 79% of the bets, 55% of the cash on the Rockets, and it's now sitting at -7s. Actually, I think that's, let me see here. I think it's just a bad refresh. It's Caesars that's showing a 7, but I believe they're off that number now, and we're seeing 9s across the board. DK's got a 9, FanDuel's got a 9, PointsBet's got a 9. So there's quite a few 9s out there right now. And then you look at the back number, 229 is where it opens up. We're down to 227s and moving. In fact, there's 224.5s out there. This is a concern. 78% of the bets and 58% of the cash on the over, and yet it's dropped, almost 5 points from the original opening number. I think I know the reason why that drop has happened when it comes to the total, but ultimately I went Detroit, and I'll tell you specifically, a lot of cash coming in. Everybody thinks it's a Rocket spot, but look back at the Rockets and kind of what they've done as of late. 3 losses in their last 4 games. It is their 3rd road game. And the trend that speaks specifically to this Rockets fade spot to me is they're 1-11-1, specifically the Rockets, and they're losing by almost 9 points a game against the spread if they're in the middle of at least a 3-game road trip out there. So they definitely fall into the lulls of a travel situation. I wanted to get in there on the under in this game, but the tricky spot for me is this is a revenge spot. When an East Coast team, when an East Division conference team is playing a West Conference team at home, it's a 34-3 spot to the over, going over by over 11 points a game when they're against the team they lost to against the spread the previous time, if the line's outside the 5. So kind of a little bit of a jumble in there, but ultimately it's the East Conference versus the West Conference if they're home. East Conference is hosting the West Conference. If it's a revenge spot because they lost against the spread the last time, and the spread's either +5 or bigger or -5 or bigger. So in that spot there, it's 34-3 to the over. But I don't like it. I see the cash coming in on the over, and yet it's pushing to the under. So that definitely gives me concern. My initial look was to take the Detroit over in this game. But now that I'm seeing some lack of concern from the books, I got to jump on that Detroit Pistons. Give me the Detroit Pistons +9. It's as ugly as it gets, and I stand behind it. I can't believe I'm doing it, but you know what? We did catch some cash before. Just because they're losing doesn't mean they're not covering spreads. And so I think that's a good spot there. Justin says, pimp slap. The city of Philly is delusional. Fans delusional. And you scream Eagles, but duck the smoke when y'all lose. Typical Philly dude. Justin, I don't duck any smoke. Bottom line, I show up and fucking show out. And that's all there is to it every single day. Don't forget that, my guy. We'll cross the line right there. I'm not ducking shit. Swiss Horton says, hey, Mike, There's 10 games during the 7 p.m. Eastern slate for college basketball. I'm thinking about doing a 10-leg money line. Let me know if you're down. Swiss, throw it in the chat. I'd love to see it. Justin Swig says, Justin, I grew up in the area. You don't see it until you leave the bubble. It's a bubble of blue, boys. That's the challenge that they have there. But that's a different story. All right, let's go. Let's talk about this next game we got. We've got next on deck here. We're looking at Golden State and the Chicago Bulls. And again, it's a greasy spot. Just not a big fan favorite here. 55% of the bets, 45% of the cash. This Bulls line went from -3 down to -2.5, but depends on the book that you shop out there, because there are books that do have some 3s and 3.5s out there. So it's kind of one of those spots where I think the bigger message in that spot is they're not showing a concern for the money coming in one side or the other. The 229.5s where the back number opens up at, we're down to 228.5s, but we have 44% of the bets and 82% of the cash. All the big money coming in on the over, and yet it's moving down the number in that spot. So the big opportunity for me, great spot that speaks specifically to the Golden State Warriors. Road dogs between +3 and +7s off a home loss are 19-1-1 if they've got rest in a total that's bigger than 224. So we got a 19-1-1 spot. The margin's the key factor in here. The margin in those spots is 11.2 points a game, comfortably getting the job done. And here we go. We've got a consensus of 3s. There's 3s at DraftKings, Caesars. We've got 2.5s at PointsBet and Bet Rivers, FanDuel. And then there's a 3.5 sitting there at Bet MGM. So I like any and all of those numbers. I don't care which one of those numbers you guys take. Justin, my Medicate Monday situation had nothing to do with that Eagles game, but thanks for noticing. Let's go. So I'm going to jump on that 3.5. If you look back at the Golden State game, Golden State's in a spot where, 3 losses in 4. They lose at home to Denver. Big spot. We talked about that game. That was a 4-point spread that they were getting out there. They lose that game by 3. They whoop up on Detroit. They don't cover the number. They're just in a tough spot. They're 0-3 against the spread. And I think that gives us a softening in that number to catch the Warriors. It probably should be more of a pick 'em. The Bulls, on the other hand, back-to-back wins against the Hornets and then a win against Houston. Strength of schedule doesn't support a spot where the Bulls should be almost a 4-point favorite. And I'm all over Golden State in this spot here. I think it's a good opportunity to take on this Warriors team, and the number speaks specifically to this after home loss now on the road situation. So give me that 19-1-1 spot. Golden State Warriors going to be the official play for the NBA. Let's go. Let's rock. Next game on the card. Tricky spot for this game here. Yeah, I punted past the Trailblazers and Timberwolves. I don't want anything to do with that game. 88% of the cash, bets 72% of the cash. The line moved from -13 to -16 for the Timberwolves side of things. So we got cash coming in on the T-Wolves, money moving in on the T-Wolves, the line showing concern. The back number, not really moving, opens at 221.5, sitting at 221.5, 72% of the bets, 69% of the cash on the under. Not really budging to the under. So they're maybe thinking there could be some points there. I just got burned yesterday with some T-Wolves stuff that I'm not interested in getting back involved with. Then you look at the Orlando Magic and the Heat. This line opens at -3.5 for the Heat. 62% of the bets, 58% of the cash stay the Orlando Magic. The line's now sitting at -1. So it's almost a pick 'em with the cash coming in on the Orlando Magic. Probably suggest a Magic spot. The totals of interest here, 219.5, not really moving. 69% of the bets and 84% of the cash on the over, suggesting potentially a lower scoring game. But just again, nothing I want to get involved with. Where I did want to get involved, though, is here on this Clippers game. We've got the Clippers and the Grizz, and we got 79% of the bets, 90% of the cash, 90% of the cash, on the Clippers. The line is moving. It's 8.5s that are out there. Now, there's still a couple of 8s, but we're starting to see 8.5s. The back number, 227.5, has dropped to 225.5 and even 224.5. 70% of the bets, 35% of the cash on the under. And we're seeing that kind of makes sense. That's kind of a correlated movement. We got unders tied back to the favorites for me. But I don't want to mess around with these points. I'll tell you, at the end of the day, I looked at this thing and, Harden has been an assist machine, specifically, his opportunity where he's been covering these numbers, certainly left and right. I think it's a great matchup for him. When you look at the assists that are out there and the opportunity, I lost my notes on it. Let me see if I can't find them real quick. I've got the whole show to jump into here, and I I just lost the place for these notes, but I will say this, the Grizzlies 0-12 against the spread, 0-12 against the spread when they're at home if they have a home game the next time up as well. So they kind of fall into the conundrum of being at home. The Clippers having a terrific schedule this month right here. I think it's a great Clipper spot, but I wanted to add the Harden piece to it specifically because this should be a fast-paced team. Harden has fit in there as the guy that's been dishing the ball around. He's more of the dish it off to Leonard and George guy than he has been going out there getting the job done. He'll be giving, assists to, I think, not just Leonard and George, but his number being at 10, more than obtainable. He's been on that number 7 of his last 10 games is what I was seeing in the numbers as well. And I think it's a good opportunity for him to get it done. So I took this number was a plus 110 this morning, dropped down to plus 108 right before the show happened for the Harden assist that went down to plus 100. So there is some steam coming in on the James Harden assist number. I parlayed it with the Clippers money line to get it to plus 134. And that's where I got to stay with it. So I think it's a good spot there to jump in with this Harden over 9.5 assists, Clippers money line. I was going to backfill it with the Harden assist spot, but as I started thinking about it, I'm not really concerned about Memphis losing this game. I would probably be more concerned about Harden getting to 10 assists, but with Leonard and George in the lineup, I'm not concerned about that. I think it's a good spot for them to smack them boys up and get it done. And let's keep rolling. A couple more games in the NBA. Then we got a couple of MMA spots, and we're going to get everybody up out of here to start their weekends. Charlotte and San Antonio, next game on the docket. San Antonio Spurs open at -2. -2. 67% of the bets, 79% of the cash. We've got anything from 1.5s to 3s out there. The book doesn't quite know where to peg this number. So I went to get the highest spot in the card. I'll tell you why in a minute. The back number opens at 243.5, sitting at 236, 52% of the bets, 58% of the cash on the over. And, it's starting to drop. So interesting spot there from a points perspective. Push comes to shove for me. It was just a simple number here. The Spurs 0-17 against the spread and straight up, going back to November of 22 when they score 124 or more points the last game and didn't lose by 9+. When it's a close game that they were in a shootout for, they struggle to bring that same energy and success rate, effectiveness the next night, 0-17 straight up and against the spread. The Hornets, 8-27, but they need to get away from home. They're not a great team playing at home. When it comes down to it, they just took 2 losses to the Sacramento Kings, 123-98 at home, 119-112 against the Chicago Bulls. But prior to that, if you look, they had the same 2 opponents. They were able to beat Sacramento 111-104 on the road. So I'm taking the gamble. I think I was 1 day ahead on the Hornets the other night. I like this spot here to give me them Hornets. The +3s are still out there. Like I said, they're anywhere. BetMGM's got 1.5s. If you like the other side, I would consider BetMGM. But 2s, 2.5s, and the 3s at Caesars now. I'm going to go with that Caesar spot. 0-17 Spurs when they just come off of a point fiesta. They just can't find a way to run the same energy back. So give me them Spurs. We talked about, I'm going to skip over it. It's not an official play for me. Nathan Cerna says, I need my first half, Mike, for an additional 400. Let's get that first half money right. State. Let's go. Nathan Cerna. Justin McAlvey says, just live bet Minnesota +16. Interesting look there for that Minnesota spot. And Daryl Lyles likes the Wemby PRA. Caddy Daddy, Mikey, swapping the 10 points for Harden for the money line. I like it. Yeah, I'm interested in that. So I like that opportunity to make it a nice plus money spot. I know I'm back to the place where I see Justin talking about the Medicate Monday. So I know I got back to the line. So I got everybody caught up there. Kelly V says, good luck, Mikey M in chat. Let's effing go. Good luck all weekend. Good luck to you, Kelly. Good luck to everybody this weekend here. I hope you guys all cash tons of bets. Let's go. Next game on the docket. Last game for the NBA card for me. Again, I love that Toronto spot. I didn't make it an official play. Oubre ruled out for the Sixers, says the chosen one. Thanks for sharing that information. Now, that probably speaks more to why that line's been flip-flopping between the ones like that. So, interesting spot there to see Oubre ruled out of the game. And then last but not least in the NBA, we've got this Pelicans-Nuggets game here. Big game tonight. A lot of fun. This one should have a lot of expectation around it. Line opens up at +6. Now we're seeing 5.5s out there. So we're seeing this number start to come down with 55% of the bets and 85% of the cash coming in on the Denver Nuggets. The line's falling. That is a huge red flag in itself. The back numbers where I went to this game here, We opened at 229.5. We're at 230.5 out there. 54% of the bets, 62% of the cash on the under. And again, depending on, you got to line shop this thing because it's gone anywhere from 228.5 to 230.5. Kind of expect to see that though, because that tells me that they feel the numbers right and the books are just kind of moving it based on where they're getting the action. So, you're going to see some of that variable one-off. It's not a universal flop when it comes to cash coming in across the books, unless there's like a big known guy that comes in and drops a couple $1 million on something. You're not going to see that full incremental move across all the books in a uniform fashion. But when I went back and looked at this game, I thought, first of all, we saw what the Pelicans did this last game. Big blowout against Golden State on the road. It's now their third road game. I was going to mention that Toronto spot. Speaking of, I'll come back to it before we jump in. But I forgot about that as I'm talking about the road. So Pelicans 141-105, Sacramento Kings 133-100. The Pelicans have been scoring like crazy, and it's a road fest here. But I think they're going to come into this spot here in Denver with elevation, and they're going to face a little bit of a challenge. Denver is 21-0 against the spread when they're not a 9-point favorite and they failed to cover by more than 13 points the previous game. So Denver should come back and put some boots to ass on this New Orleans Pelican spot. But I went to the under. Even though 21-0 is a tremendous number, how about 33-0? When either team has rest and one's coming off a loss as a road favorite shorter than a -2, they're 33-0 to the under when they're facing a conference opponent. So 33-0 to the under. I got 230.5. And I had it earlier today at low juice. 230.5 is -110 now. So it's starting to come up a little bit, but, or I should say come back a little bit. So I'll take that -110 on the 230.5. Not mad at anybody that wants to take advantage. Again, that number was Denver 21-0 against the spread going back to February 2022 when they need 9+ points favorite and they failed to cover by more than 13 points the previous game. But I got the 33-0 to the under by almost 15 points a game against a conference opponent. When either team has rest, one's coming off a loss as a road favorite shorter than 2. So that's going to do it in the NBA. But I did want to mention this here. Where did it go? Here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're not playing your own, it's happened enough that it's a number. When you're not playing your own conference, you've been on the road 5 straight times and you're a road dog. This is the Toronto Raptors spot. Teams in that position are 21-14 against the spread, and they're covering the spread by 3 points a game. So the average line they're seeing is around 7. This one fit prototypically that Toronto spot pretty significantly. The over-under in that spot is 13-23 to the under. I would think that, as a team that's got their 6th game now on the road, they're just ready to get the hell out of there and go home. But that's not the case. The numbers are showing it's 21-14 to the spread. That was our Razors Gamblers first glance. I think that's a great look out there, and can't get mad at anybody that wants to jump on that Toronto side of things. So I'll probably get there personally as well. I think it's a great play, and it speaks specifically to that scenario where it's like the last game. They go out there, they throw everything out there that they've got at those teams, and they find a way to cover the spread. So big Toronto spot. Shout out to our guy Razor. Appreciate him coming in to share that information. Let's get in. We're here. You guys have waited long enough. We got a little bit of fun coming up here. Our next guest, MMA Jeff, goes out there. I mentioned it at the top of the show. He's gone 2 of the last 3 Pub Sports contests. We're going to get the Pub Sports link dropped into the chat for you guys. Pub Sports Radio does a free MMA contest for the UFC every Saturday that there's a contest or a UFC battle going on. It's free to enter, cost you nothing. You can win a cool hard $100. And it's a lot of fun to kind of follow along with as well. So whether you know a lot and you're an expert or you're a novice and you know nothing, just go out there and click the buttons. But again, we'll drop that in the chat. Let me bring on our next guest. As I mentioned, 3-1 on his last show picks. He's up 2.3 units here. Wanted to give you guys some looks to get out there and cook them UFC books. Let's welcome on our next guest here, MMA Jeff. Jeff, what up? How you doing?
What's going on? Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm dehydrated.
Dehydrated.
Oh, no, we lost him. That's how quick it is. He's going to have to figure it out and come back to us here. But while we're waiting for him, guys, I'll give you the rundown here and appreciate everybody dropping into the chat here. So hopefully our guy Justin's still out there. I'm all good with him, and I'm hoping that we have a lot of fun moving forward and making some cash tonight. So Daryl Lyle says Joker over 10.5 rebounds. Chosen ones on the Pels. Pels have Mavs tomorrow for the Pelican spot out there. I like that look in consideration for the look ahead spot. Kelly D says New Orleans up 25 points, lost by 15. Next meeting, New Orleans got their revenge. Third meeting this year. Let's bring him back on. It looks like he's ready to go.
Hey,
you there?
Not sure what happened there. Sorry about that.
You're all good. You're all good. So we want to talk about this thing here. I mentioned it at the top of the show. 3-1 last card. He's got a little 3-banger look for us here, this card as well. And we want to just give you guys a couple of plays to jump in here for the weekend. Again, some of you guys are trying to dip your toe into the MMA pool. Some of you guys enjoy it and you like to get as much info and content around it as you can. So I know Jeff's opening his card up. He's got this Felipe Boons versus Joshua Van fight. And you got Joshua Van at 9-1 going out there against a 13-6, number 76 flyweight here. The fearless Joshua Van is ranked number 27. Felipe Boons, Filipino, is number 76 in the world at 34 years age. Does have 2 wins in his past year, but he's going out there against the guy that's really been cleaning the floor up here in Joshua Van. 5 straight victories, predating his UFC experience. This is his 3rd UFC fight. He's gone decision twice, Jeff. Tell us how you're going to navigate this fight.
Well, what I really looked at was, the last 5-6 fights or so, and he's been killing it. He's been knocking out guys, submitting guys. What stood out to me was when he did make his UFC debut. This will be his 3rd fight. His only 2 fights in the UFC were by decision. So I like him to win the fight. I believe this is a big, heavy favorite card. So I'm just trying to find a way to play it. I like the fight by decision at plus 130, but I figured I'd throw the Van by decision because I do see him winning this fight. Obviously better odds at a plus 210. So I like the fact that he's 12 years younger. He's an up and comer. He's trying to prove himself. So I'm taking Van by decision, plus 210. If that's too risky for you, if the fight by decision, but my official play would be Van by decision. Love
it. Perky, that's the guy's nickname. That's his name. Go look it up. Felipe, I don't know how to say his last name. Boons. His nickname is Filipino. So that's his nickname. Ice Viking says, disappointed the Cape fight is canceled. I am too. That was going to be a good one. And there's the link there. Guy T's got it in the chat there for everybody that's interested in joining the contest. Again, free to enter. There it is for Pub Sports Radio. Go ahead, jump in there. All you got to do is register. It's free to register. Get your email in there, and then you can go in and make your picks. When you make your picks, there's no submit button. Just click the picks, and once you're done clicking all the picks, you can shut it down, and then it'll keep them saved for you behind the scenes. So Swigbet says, that Viking, Ice Viking dude, I tailed Clinton Dan's pick on that as well. Marcus McCarthy says, can't believe he still didn't take the fight. And then Big Scott 510 says 2-leg. He likes Van money line, Miller money line, Simon money line plus 300. That looks like 3 legs to me. Oh, there he goes. Okay, he did correct it. I was gonna say I see 2. Is it 2 or 3, Jeff? I can't tell. Marcus McCarthy says they didn't agree on the other sides. That's whack. Yeah, that's too bad. But here we go, right? We've got this next fight on deck to talk about for us. We looked at this one. We've got this on the sidelines here. You'll see Jeff's going over, and let me pull it up. Let me tee it up for us. We got a plus 210 look to start this card off for our guy, MMA Jeff. He's going to the Marcus McGee, Gaston Bolaños, 8-1. Marcus McGee, Gaston coming in at 7-3. Out of Peru, we don't see a lot of Peruvian fighters fighting out of Dublin, California. The other side of things here, a pretty heavy favorite. And Marcus McGee, the Manic, has himself a nice little 2-fight win streak since coming into the UFC. His last fight 4 months ago, he knocked out JP Buys, and he's got nothing but submission, knockout, and finishes in his record. On the other side of things, Gaston Bolaños has himself a big victory in his debut, a debutant that went to decision against Aaron Phillips. Jeff, give us the lowdown and the down and dirty on this fight and how we're getting paid.
Well, I was looking at this fight on paper, and it looks pretty comparable. Watching McGee's fights there, I think he's a better fighter in my opinion. He's more well-rounded, submissions, knockouts. He can go the distance if need be. I just don't see Bolaños, being able to withstand the beating. I don't know if he's going to knock him out or submit him. That's what led me to the inside the distance. I'd like to obviously I didn't want to take him on the money line. The price is just too much. So again, trying to find a way to get there. I also liked McGee by KO, which my book showed it at plus 175. The fight ends in round 2 plus 175. My official play that I think is actually gonna hit. Those are just some fun plays, but yeah, the official one that I think is gonna hit is McGee inside the distance. So that's how we ended up picking that one.
All right. And then your third play for us on the card here, we got Jim Miller out there, the number 36 lightweight at 36-17. He's going out there against Gabriel Benitez at number 102. You know, the thing about Benitez, he's had a pretty storied career in the UFC, or I should say he's had a career in the UFC fighting out of Mexico. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. And then if the other side of things, you look at, Jimmy Miller's been a guy that's kind of been around the block here. A10, as he likes to be called. He's 40 years old. We always know there's some inherent damage or challenge when you take a 40-year-old fighter, but I'm curious to hear the breakdown. Tell us about this one. Yeah, Billy Briz says, Grandpa Jimmy. Billy knows what's up. He says, great weekend ahead. Let's cash some tickets. Billy, you were a big hit with your play for the college basketball afternoon game. Everybody was cashing with you. Thanks for the text to tell me about it, my guy. But shout out to you, Billy Briz. Says a lot of line movement on the fight potential new co-main as well. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to see. But let's hear it. Let's hear about the breakdown of this fight and how we're getting paid.
I generally don't like taking fighters in their 40s over, 40 and over. I actually went with this fight ending by KO. Miller, he's 3 of his last 5 have been by KO. He also likes to submit guys, but I saw that Benitez there. He doesn't seem like he can withstand the power of Miller. He's no spring chicken either. I think he's like 35 or 36. So it is a grandpa battle out there. But a couple other plays that I had written down was Miller by KO, and then I was like, is that really going to actually? I think he's going to win by KO personally, but then I was like, you know what? He could take a shot just because of his age. So I ended up with the fight ends by KO just based on that. I don't see this one going the distance for sure. And I think that Miller's got a little bit more power behind him, and he's also, again, 40 years old. How much more does he got left to put out there? So I'm going Miller, or I'm sorry, the fight ends by KO.
Yeah, it looks like when you look at the kind of the history between these guys, 3 of Miller's last fights have been knockouts, and each of the last 4 fights for Benitez have been knockouts. So he's either knocking him out or getting his ass knocked out.
Exactly.
One way or the other, there's going to be some fisticuffs of flying. And it looks
there's going to be some wild shots thrown. I think somebody's going to catch somebody, and it's definitely going to be a knockout, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks like there should be some violence on the card this weekend. That looks like a strong 3-pack for us here to get this record going. Again, my guys, 3-1 plus 2.3 units. Jeff, thanks for coming on. Tell everybody what you got going on. I know you've been doing some recordings as well, pre-looking at fights, and then you've got some things coming up this weekend as well. What's cooking?
Yeah, we're doing a Thursday show over at Who Bangin', and with my buddy Dylan, and we're doing a show tomorrow to kind of recap, I guess, the total card, to kind of give a look at every fight and a little more detail. And that's about it for now. You guys can follow me at JMHockey19. I also am a hockey guy, but Twitter JMHockey19 if you're interested. And again, appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to this card.
Sounds good, my guy. Thanks for dropping in, giving us them looks. I'll see you shortly, and we'll get into it this weekend. But that sounds good. Should be a lot of fun for the UFC. 3-1, our guys putting the 3-pack out there, and he's probably going to try to win that contest again over there at Pub Sports Radio. So look for him out there at JMHockey19 in the standings as well. If you want to go out there and compete against our guy, see if you have what it takes to take him down. You're welcome to do so. Again, it's a free contest to enter. So should be a lot of fun, Jeff. Have yourself a weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
That's going to do it, everybody. We're going to put a bow on the show. TGIFF. Even gave you guys some MMA plays to get you carried into the weekend there. Our guy's been running red hot. He's got LFA plays. He's got some big LFA show coming up tonight. So it'll be a lot of fun. Again, make sure you follow him over there on Twitter. If you like combat sports, he's the guy to follow and check out, up and coming, making it happen in the industry. Of course, you know our guy, Billy Briz. Billy Briz is the unicorn, though, when it comes to this kind of stuff. He caps MMA. He caps college basketball, the NBA, college football, and he's going to have a lot of fun tomorrow. Pub Sports Radio host that live stream as well. Swig Bets, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming in, sharing the feedback. All you guys, Ian Shaber, Andrew G., Marcus McCarthy, Tony Trill, Billy Briz, of course, Rudy. Rudy says Maniac round 2 or 3 sub plus 750. Love those big prop opportunities. That's what makes the UFC so fun if you guys haven't gotten into it. Big Scott 510. Again, Marcus Perky Bumps, Ice Viking, the crew out there, Nasty Nate, Daryl Benton, Kelly VR Girl dropping in, Chosen One, Daryl Lyles. Everybody giving out their looks here for the show, you guys. That's what makes it so much fun, so much special. Again, if you haven't done so yet, hit the like button. Caddy Daddy rolled up in there tonight, gave us a pack. Justin McCalvey gave us his looks out there. He's trying to cook them books and giving everybody his best looks. F. Donahue's out there. Nathan Cerna, Real Deal Prime the Grinder. I hope you guys all cash lots of tickets. Have yourself a great weekend. Above all else, stay pubbing because we be pubbing, baby. Have a weekend. Happy Friday, everybody. I'll see you soon.